Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today's video is a Black Library review. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at one of the many publications brought out by a Black Library and giving you our thoughts on the book, audio drama, whatever it happens to be. Now, I will say that we will try to keep this review to as spoiler free as possible, though there will obviously be points where we talk about things happening in the book. We will try to keep away from saying any of the major plot points, so you can go and read this book for yourself. We'll just give you our thoughts on whether or not we think it is something you may be interested in. So we'll use this video to instruct you on maybe is this sort of going to be a book that you would like to see. With that all said and out the way, let's get cracking on. Let's talk a little bit about the book that we have reviewed this time. In today's Black Library review, we're going to be checking out Thunderstrike and Other Stories. Now, this book is by multiple different authors, and it's also read by quite a few different readers and narrated by quite a few people, depending on which story we are listening to. If you pick up the audio version, like I always do, I like listening to them while I'm doing some hobby. If you've ever got one of these books before, there's been many of these, like Sacrosanct and Other Stories has been the same thing for 40k as well. What they are is generally at the start of the book, you have sort of probably about the first quarter to first third, even sometimes first half of the book are a single short story, a novella, and then you have a bunch of really short stories, probably all lasting about, anywhere from 20 to an hour long. This was 21 plus hours of a read. It was a big, hefty listen. But let's get into it and we'll talk about all the stories in turn. We're going to do this slightly different with this book review, mainly because it does have a lot of different authors. We're mostly going to talk about the first story, I would say, and the overall impact of what this book is going to do for anyone who picks it up and listens or reads it. And so this is made up of a large amount of stories. There is a lot in here. I think this is actually the biggest one of these I've ever read. Might be the biggest one for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, at least. I don't know the 40k ones as well. But first of all, Thunderstrike by Richard Strachan is the main story we've got here. Very much sort of centered around all of the new sort of Stormcast and Cruel Boys and stuff like that. Definitely takes up probably a good quarter to a third of the book. We then got a variety of other stories. Some of them tie in with other mainline stories, like The Spears of Autumn by Richard Strachan ties in with End of Enlightenment, and you'll know some of the characters from there. Last of the Brazkovs by C.L. Werner ties right into Curse City. We've got some other stories that are, just really sort of give the idea of what the Mortal Realms setting is all about. Strong Bones is a fantastic one, I really think, by Michael R. Fletcher. And The Serpent's Bargain by Jamie Crisali is another great one. Also, just continuing on with the narration showing that Daughters of Cain have Irish accents. Boscrot was really cool as well by Eric Gregory, as was Shiprats by C.L. Werner. There's certainly a wide variety of stories, and for me, definitely personally, there are some that I rate much higher than I rate others, and that's the sort of thing with this. I think this does a really good job. There were definitely some that were more horror focused, there were some that were more adventure focused, some that were battle focused, some that were, investigation, some that were thriller. Like, it has a really wide spectrum of stories within this. If you're looking to get into the Mortal Realms, this is a fantastic place. And it wouldn't be right without saying, in the audio version that I listened to, this was narrated, like I said, by a variety of different readers, from Jonathan Keeble, Helen McAlpin, Emma Gregory, Richard Reed, Andrew James Spooner, and Andrew Wincott. A couple of my personal favourites in there with Emma Gregory and Richard Reed. I really enjoy all of their readings. Some I'm not familiar with, some I definitely do know, like Jonathan Keeble and Andrew James Spooner. I know I've definitely listened to their readings before. I think Andrew Wincott as well. I've not heard of Helen McAlpine. I'm sorry if I am pronouncing your name wrong. Please correct me if I am and you ever see this. And so, yeah, what is this book's purpose? This is, a start here story. This is something you would give to someone to get started in Black Library fiction for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Any of these ones are really great. Like I said, there's been a Sacrosanct in other stories. There was Stormcast in other stories as well. I think there's just a bunch of this. This is the first one where I've not read a lot of the second stories. I don't think I'd actually heard any of the secondary stories. I'm not sure if any of them have little small audio books. I'm not as up to date with them as I once was. But this was really enjoyable. If you're looking to get into Warhammer Age of Sigmar with some stories, this is definitely a great way to do it. It does a really good job of showing the breadth of the mortal realms. And so what does the book do well? We've already talked about how this is a great place to get into the setting, but also after listening to this can be a great place for finding stuff you may be interested in listening to more of. You'll obviously, within this book, like I said at the start of the video, have authors you sort of tend towards more than others, or story arcs that you lean towards and you enjoy more than others based on your own personal preference within factions. You may find that some of these particular stories are written by authors who have written full-length novels. I use something like C.L. Werner with his last Braskov story in this. He wrote Curse City, which is literally set after that short story. And on the twist, for me, I've read a few of the stories that are obviously linked to this. For me, finding the Spear of Autumn, which was really cool, which has got Belfinnon, one of the characters from the End of Enlightenment, which I really enjoyed by Richard Strachan, was brought into that, which I really enjoyed seeing that character again. And for someone who listens or reads a lot more Black Library fiction, that was really fun to do on the opposite sort of end, coming into this and having those secondary stories and going, I remember that, I know that character, I know this story. And a lot of these, sometimes as well for authors, this can sometimes be where we see people with their Black Library submissions actually get their break or their chance in. Or some stories perhaps sometimes go from. I know there's definitely one in here where Anna Stevens in Gaslight that sort of, I guess, has a little bit of a feeling for me that it's maybe linked to, the Murghast and all the stuff in the stories that she's written revolving around that stuff, which is really cool. But yeah, who would like this? It really is, for those first dabbling into Age of Sigmar lore, this is a story for you. But like I said just before, if you're looking for something to pick up, the first story in this, the Thunderstrike story, is really enjoyable. And if you like things like Stormcast, you definitely are going to get your money's worth in this. I think Stormcast definitely have quite a few stories in this linked to them, which is really cool. But there's also, so many other armies. There's just random stories in there, but there's other ones that are linked to, Hedonites of Slaanesh. There's ones that are linked to Ogres. There's ones that are linked to Sylvaneth and other things as well. It's really, really cool. It's got a wide range of stories. I think most Age of Sigmar players would find at least a story they have some sort of, intrigue within this book. In summary, this was, at over 21 hours. I think this is the longest Black Library fiction I've ever listened to. Taking over at least the one I've listened to this year, which was Godsbane at 19 hours. This takes the cake at 21. But it was an enjoyable listen. I can remember most of the stories from this after going through it. I remember, I would say a good 80%, if not 90% of the stories in this, which I think, is a good indication of the quality within the compendium that is all of these stories put together. I really enjoyed it. This is a solid 7 out of 10 for me. Definitely some of my favorite authors have some really good showings in it, and some stories that from authors I'm maybe not as familiar with, having quite a bit of intrigue in them as well. That's the end of the video, everyone. Thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, drop us a comment down below in the comment section and let us know what you enjoyed about the video and what you'd like to see more of on the channel. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our little community here we have at Sinful Gaming, you can do so on our Discord server, which is linked in the video's description. Also linked in the video's description is our Patreon and YouTube members, where you can go to help support the channel and allow us to keep doing what we're doing. As a special thank you to our Patreons and YouTube members, we'd like to give them all a shout out. So thank you to our Patreons: Christian Weir, Soren, Greenskins Gaming, Kenny Lower, Outer Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Q Dynamic, Anthony B, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Derek, and Giappi390. And to our YouTube members: Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Ronya, Lock Lorick, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Wolfric Nick, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Revenar, Pink Nico Fire, Robin Mankiller, and Monty's Tabletop Terrain. And lastly, a special thanks to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork you see on the channel. Thank you all for watching. Once again, stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now, everyone.